And hello. Hi, I'm Greg, the bold one, and this is.
Ollie, the bearded one.
Thank you. And welcome to our next review, okay? I hope you enjoyed our last one. Seems to have gone down all right. So we thought this time we'd go and do something a bit modern, just until we've established. We're going to come back and still do some retro ones, but we wanted to do a modern one. So we had a look and see what was out, and we came up with The Northman. Have you got any facts about The Northman, Ollie? You're a bit of a nerd.
Well, I've got some inside information, So this one scored 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. However, weirdly, which is a bit unusual, the audience score was lower at 63%, which is quite unusual. So before we even started watching it, I was a bit kind of wary on what that was kind of going to bring to us.
Yeah. It was. This is a very strange movie. It's a bit of a Marmite movie, this one. We'll get into it. We're going to talk through it in a minute and what general outline of the story. So there will be a few spoilers, but we're going to talk about some of the bits that were in it, some of the things we liked, some of the things we didn't like, and at the end we'll talk about it and we'll give it a score for you. So this is in cinemas at the moment, or well, it was in cinemas at the moment as we're here now. And so, The Northman. When was it set?
It was set in 895 AD.
Okay, yep. So we've got the Northmen, and they're awaiting the arrival of the king. The king's coming home, and the long ships, the lovely panoramic scene of it all coming in, the long ships. It looks almost cartoony, and the way this film is shot is really quite weird. Sometimes you've got real, beautiful, breathtaking scenery, and other times it's almost studio, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. It does show off the wide range that you can have with that kind of in Iceland.
Yeah.
You've got so many different terrains and environments.
We ain't got to Iceland yet.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, right, so we see the ships coming in. The Queen, who's played by Nicole Kidman, and I thought it was Nicole Kidman, but she seems to look weirder and weirder every time I see her. I mean, if you remember her from Days of Thunder and Deadcom and movies like that, I mean, she was really pretty, but I don't know, not these days. I think she's a
poor Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, sorry, Nicole. There's no
if you're watching Nicole, sorry.
There's no chance of a date with me. Okay, so the king comes home. Son is happy to see him.
Yes, we see the young son, don't we? We see the younger version.
What was he called?
He was called Amleth.
Amleth, yeah, good. The names are really hard, and some of the dialogue is quite hard to pick up as well. It's very, these all spoken in kind of whispers. So the Queen, and they get ready, and back comes the husband, back comes the king. He's wounded, isn't he? He's got a wound.
He is. He's been at battle, hasn't he? So he's got carrying some wounds and that, but he's the king, so he can't really let that stop him, can he?
Yeah, and he decides that now is the time for his son to discover the horrors and the reality of the world. So they go to this weirdy kind of witch hut, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Witch hut, okay, and in there's this gimp, okay, with a mask on, who tells them to act like dogs, and so they kind of bound around like dogs. And this is quite a bit. This is something I quite liked in the movie, was the bringing in of the animal spirit into the creatures. There's certain points in the film, when you watch it,
there was lots of it,
where they channel the spirit of different animals, and I'm all into that kind of thing. Yeah, and they actually become wolves and become bears, and it's very
it's very scary.
It's very metamorphic. Yeah. You can actually see them becoming these animals, and you can really go over it. There's no special effects. It's all
active,
all for interpretation.
Very good.
Anyway, so they go, they drink this water stuff, and they start
hallucinating
and tripping out. And then the genius that is William Dafoe is in there, the man of 1,000 faces.
My favourite actor ever.
Peter. He's in there, and they talk about life and how they're going to proceed and all this kind of stuff, and they're following each other around. Generally having a good old sort of witchy hoedown,
yeah.
Okay, and then in the morning they leave this little temple, and as they leave, and they're having a little walk, dad and son, the king Arundel, is it?
The king Alvendale,
who's the guy from
From Moon Knight. Yes.
Yeah. Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke. That's it, exactly.
Yeah. He seems to be having a bit of a renaissance. He gets hit with about 4 or 5 arrows. Out comes these people, surround him, give him a bit of a stabby. What's the boy called again?
Amleth
runs and hides behind a rock. Out comes the guy, turns out to be the king's brother.
Uncle Feng.
Uncle Feng.
It was always going to be Uncle Feng.
Bad Uncle Feng, yeah. He now wants control, so he takes it off. And did he chop his head off?
He did, yes, I believe he did.
Yeah, there's lots of brutal head choppings.
There's a lot of brutal deaths.
And then they send out the guards to try and kill the boy, because they don't want the heir. And he chops this guy's nose off, doesn't he?
He goes straight for the nose, doesn't he?
Chops this guy's nose off.
Impressive.
And he escapes across the big wide ocean. Okay, they're on this like cliff, the whole village, and he goes across the ocean on a boat.
Before that, though, do you remember when he was going through the town and he was wearing that red cloak?
Yeah, he puts on a bright red cloak, and then nobody notices him.
Nobody can see him, apparently.
While they're killing everybody and all that kind of stuff. And as he goes off, he starts saying this thing, doesn't he? What's he start saying?
He goes, "I'll avenge you, father, and save your mother."
I'll avenge his mother. I will kill you. Thing. Well, he keeps repeating it as he's sailing off. Okay, and he goes off, and then we have the scene many years later, and he's joined this kind of another gang basically who become wolves. They channel wolves and they become big beastie wolves, don't they?
Yeah.
They're on a raid, okay, and this raid's quite brutal, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
They climb the side of this village wall with their axes, and they're getting poked down with swords. But they get over. They just start smashing people's jaws off with big hammers and
didn't stand a chance.
Poor beating everybody up. They put the children into huts and burn them so that there's no heirs to come and get them, and they take this village for themselves. And then it turns out that this is the bit I couldn't quite get my head around. They then take the people as slaves, and then they take and to return to Feng.
Yeah.
To be sold to other tribes, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
So Amleth, who is absolutely super pumped and ripped, okay, with all these like
skinny slaves,
okay, brands himself
and just chops his hair a bit, doesn't he?
Chops his hair, swims across on a boat. They don't see him climb onto this boat, even though it's like an open boat with all the people.
They don't see that he's the only one drenched either, do they?
No, and he hides amongst the slaves, although he sticks out about 8 foot taller than all of them. Okay, and he meets a witch called Olga on there as well, who they have a bit of a thing going on through the film. And then he gets shipped off to Iceland. So it turns out Feng has taken over that village, but he's been kicked out of that, and now he's living in Iceland. He's got his own little thing going on in Iceland. Okay, Mum's gone to Iceland. And he's there with the Queen, Feng, and the slaves all come along, and he picks the ones that he wants to work. Okay, and Amleth, whatever he's called, has a good growl, doesn't he?
Yeah.
We like him.
He growls. He does. Come on, he is. Yeah.
He'll be all right. We'll have him. So they get a job, and we see the beauty of Iceland, don't we?
Oh, so many different.
Panoramic
kind of shots,
wasn't there? If ever there was an advert for going on holiday to Iceland, okay, apart from all the Viking smashing,
with the poor villagers.
What happens in a minute?
Yeah.
The scenery is absolutely breathtaking.
It is very good.
Absolutely breathtaking.
They did do a very good job capturing that, didn't they?
So he establishes himself within working with the group. He talks to the Olga and tells her that he's here to kill Feng. He wants to take his revenge for his family and save his mother. And then he goes off on a walk, doesn't he? He goes off on a walk to a cave.
He does, yes. Just a random cave. He knew where it was.
There's another guy in leather underpants, okay, living in the cave, okay.
There's a difference, though. He's got Willem Dafoe's head, hasn't he?
He's got Willem Dafoe's head, okay, he's put in some special eyeballs because they cut his eyes out. And he tells them that there's a special sword, and this sword is the sword that they need to go and do it. So off he goes to another part of the cave. He throws a snake at him, doesn't he? And the snake turns into a rope.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah. And he lowers himself down into this place with a rope, and in there's this skeleton holding his sword.
I don't think we were told who that person was, were we?
I don't know. Probably Schnurgen.
We were hallucinating.
Yeah. And he tries to take the sword, and they have a fight, and then all of a sudden he's not having a fight, and the sword's in his hand, and the skeleton falls to bits, and he's now got this knight sword, and then he sneaks back, has a little poke around the village, sees what's going on.
There's a little scouting mission, doesn't he?
Yeah, climbs up on the roof, hides the sword, and this is the sword that's going to take the revenge on everybody. Okay, so then he's now in the village, and he's chatting away to the girl, Olga, and they're developing quite a nice relationship. And it's feast time. They have a feast, like a visiting feast. And part of this feast is a game called it's like Quidditch. It's like
it's not called Viking Quidditch, is it? We've just
no, but it's the Viking.
It's like that. It's the equivalent.
It's the Viking version of Quidditch, where they beat each other to death with sticks and smash each other's faces in until everybody's kind of dead on the floor. And while they're doing that, they're hacking a stick, smacking a ball against a pole. That's the best way.
That's the best way to describe it, really. Yeah, to the last one standing.
Yeah. So he gets recruited by one of the Feng's sons to be in this game, and there's another giant guy who's walking around biting people's heads off, and I don't know whatever else he's doing. And it comes down to Amleth.
Yeah, you got it. You learned it.
It comes down to Amleth and this big guy. And they start beating each other up and smacking each other in the head with sticks. And while we do this, Feng's younger son runs on.
I don't understand why nobody stopped him until he was actually there.
No. But, the big giant picks him up and does he throw him?
He does.
Yeah, he throws him on the floor. And he's about to stamp on his head, and then in comes Amleth and duffs him up.
Yeah.
Doesn't he? And
earns some trust.
And he earns the respect of Feng and Feng's sons, and they're like, right, you'll still be a scumbag slave,
but we'll promote you a little bit.
But you'll be promoted, yeah. So, he's now earned their trust, and this is what he wanted to do. His plan was to earn their trust and then go around and chop them all up as brutally as he possibly could.
Well, it wouldn't be a movie otherwise, would it?
No. Yeah, and then turn them all against each other because they all get super paranoid. So he goes in and starts slicing people up and put them in different shapes and brutalising them.
Very psychological, isn't it?
Yeah.
Psychological warfare, basically.
And they can't figure out who's doing it. Yeah, and they start sacrificing slaves to find out who's done it, and they can't find out, and they're all blaming each other. And at this point, he gets in to see his mum, doesn't he?
This is possibly, I would say, the weirdest scene in the entire movie.
Yeah. He gets in to see... Is this the bit where...
So this is the bit where he tells his mum who he is, basically, that he's a son and that, and he finds out that the mum is on it all along, wasn't she?
Yeah, the mum kind of organised... Spoiler. Yeah, the mum kind of organised the whole thing.
She didn't like the king, did she?
No, she didn't like the thing. And then she tries to snog him. She
basically said if he kills Feng, that she'll be his queen, even though he's her mum.
It was a weird one.
It was a bit weird, wasn't it?
It was a weird one.
And then he just legged it out, didn't he?
Yeah, and then he's like, I'm not happy with this. My mum's going back. So then he goes and kills Feng's older brother, older son, and cuts his heart out and sticks it in a bag. And Feng wakes up in the morning. He's absolutely gutted. He wants to know who's done it. And then Amleth comes up on the hill with a heart in a bag. Yeah. And he's like, I've got a heart in a bag. Heart in a bag, anyone? Yeah. So they send up a load of blokes and they beat him up. He beats them up. Olga escapes. And they decide that he's going to be tortured and killed. But he won't. He said, this isn't the heart, your son's heart. Your son's heart's somewhere else. So you can't really kill me because I won't tell you where the heart is. So they string him up, and there's a lot of people covered in blood in this film, isn't there? Yeah. There is a lot of blood.
Lots of blood.
They string him up, and he gets beaten to within an inch of his life, but he's all right because everyone's escaped.
And then they just leave him for 2 seconds. Then
it's the James Bond thing. I'm going to kill you, but I'll be back in 20 minutes. Yeah. So off they go, and as they go, the crows or the ravens come in.
The ravens kind of gather around, don't they?
Yeah,
they pluck him out.
They pluck him out. This is another bit of this magic and Norse magic.
Yeah.
But this is what was a bit of the film I really liked. And peck him down, and off he goes and escapes and jumps into some sort of like sauna jacuzzi thing with
it was good.
Olga, didn't he? Yeah,
He does.
you enjoy that bit?
No, it's not a bad time, is it?
Here's a go.
Worst things to wake up to.
Yeah, it's a nice session with Olga. Yeah.
Because we then find out that she's the Valkyrie as well, don't we?
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember. What was it? The Valkyrie?
I don't understand what.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, he escapes. Okay, and then he's like, I'm gonna go back and finish all this off now. It's time to put an end to it.
It's weird though, because it's interesting because he finds out that Olga's actually pregnant, doesn't he? Isn't that
later on when he finds that one on the boat?
No, yeah, that's the point though, isn't it?
Is this where he sends her off?
Yeah.
Yeah, he sends her off on a boat. So they're all escaping on a boat, and then he decides he's going back.
He says, should he decide whether to stay with his wife and his children or go back and kill his uncle?
Yeah, so it's a
logical choice.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Let's go back and slaughter uncle.
Yeah.
So, Mum's gutted. Uses her witchy powers to blow out the wind, and off they sail. And he does a lot of swimming in this film.
He's got the breaststroke down to perfection, isn't he?
It was like Michael Phelps. He swims back and goes in, and then he
goes on a slaughter.
He goes on a slaughter fest, man. The guy with no nose.
Yeah.
So he shoved the sword right through his nose. That's like,
through.
I could feel that one.
That was brutal.
Chops up everybody. Gets into Mum, doesn't he?
Yeah, Mum and the younger son.
Mum, yeah. So then he runs Mum. He's going through this film saying he doesn't hurt women.
Yeah,
breaks
that rule.
Although he didn't object to them burning all the children.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Mum sees Mum, he runs her through with a sword. And then the little kid jumps out of a cupboard, doesn't he?
He does, with like a little kind of knife,
with a little dagger, jumps on his back and stabs him about 30 times. But this bit reminds me of Gladiator, just before the final battle, when he sticks the stick in underneath him, stabs him underneath, so he can't fight. Well, he gets stabbed about 30 times.
Yeah. It
does. All on his back, and he's got, yeah. So then he slaughters the kid as well.
He does. I was quite surprised by that.
He kills the kid as well.
He kills the last heir.
And he's now bleeding, and he can't breathe very well. He spends a lot of this movie kind of looking at the floor, going.
Yeah, he looks half dead half the time.
Yeah. And in comes Feng, drags the kid out and the mum out by her hair, and says, "I'll meet you." What did he say? Meet him.
He said, "I'll meet you at the gates of hell."
Meet you at the gates of hell.
Yeah.
Okay.
But hell spelt with one L.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like that gate of hell. So he goes up on the foot of a volcano, type thing, and there's the bodies of the kids, and he's now like his tunic's all covered in blood.
He's not
going to wear it for much longer because the whole next bit's going to be tops off.
Yeah, tops off macho fighting, wasn't it?
Tops off macho fighting, and we have a battle in the
volcano, wasn't it?
In the volcano, yeah. Lots of lava flying about, and lots of sword fighting, and he gets stabbed through about 10 times and sliced, and it's quite brutal, isn't it?
He does
but in the end, he bests Feng and lops his head off, doesn't he?
Yeah, he likes shoving heads off.
Because he's like, I'm dead. No, I'm coming back.
It's again, he kind of embodied the spirit, didn't he?
Yeah,
that's what. Yeah,
now you're getting into it. Yeah. Okay, and then he winds himself up into a frenzy, chops his head off. Okay, and then they both kind of die on the floor.
They do, yeah, and then you get that vision, that thing, doesn't he? Where he's going off. Yeah, it's into white light
into the ether. Okay, like a warrior going off to his death, and at this point the film ends. Really,
it does. That's literally the end of the movie.
It was the end of the movie.
You didn't see what happened to Olga or anything.
No, but we did see this kind of weird thing where you saw the kids in the
the family tree thing, wasn't it?
The family tree thing. It was a mother. It was a boy and a girl.
Boy and a girl. Yeah.
So yeah, and that was the movie. So. First thing I want to talk about is the acting. I don't know. It was all a bit.
It was weird.
It was weird.
Yeah, it was weird. That's the best way to put it, I would say.
Yeah. The scenery was great.
The photography in this movie is brilliant.
Yeah,
it's very, very good.
But the acting, I just didn't quite get it. I know they've got to be Vikings. They're all running around banging drums and singing and stuff. I know they've got to be like that, but it just, I don't know, it didn't have the presence for me.
No.
It wasn't great.
I thought it was a shame that they killed the king so
I didn't like I'm having a right go at Nicole Kidman.
You hated them today, didn't you?
Yeah. I didn't like Nicole Kidman's accent. It was really weird.
It was when she was with the son, when they found out again.
Yeah.
Her acting was just so weird.
It was all me.
It was all over the place. In fact, in my notes, I put, Mum is crazy.
Tell me about it. Yeah. Okay, so yeah. The acting, Defoe was good for the minutes.
Defoe is good in anything movie he's in. He's brilliant.
He's a bit of a legend.
He's a legend.
But the acting, I don't know, the accents just...
You just couldn't really get on board with
Bjork's in it. Oh, crazy Bjork's in it. Fantastic. I thought it was her. She was born to play that witch. Yeah, the story... Now, I was told this is the new Gladiator. This is the new Gladiator. It was nowhere near as good as Gladiator.
No, definitely not.
Like I said, this is a real Marmite movie. You're either going to like it or you're not. And I think at the end of it, I won't watch it again. Well, I've seen Gladiator about 4 or 5 times. Just didn't have enough for me. I love the spiritual stuff. That's all. I'm all about the spiritual. But the movie itself just didn't quite have it for me.
It just felt a bit flat for me, to be honest.
The story, yeah, it just seemed to be, let's go and kill people over here, and this bit will lead us to this bit over here where we'll kill some more people, then we'll do some more killing, and...
It was just avenge, revenge.
It was
just...
The music, I mean, there's no theme tune, it's just like banging drums all the way through, so that was quite weird. It was
nice, I thought. It was
atmospheric, yeah, and it kind of built up as you went through and dropped off in places. Yeah, and I really don't know what to say. It wasn't. I thought when someone told me it was going to be the new Gladiator, I was really looking forward to something special, and I think it was bang average.
That is exactly what I would say.
Yeah.
If I was to give it a score out of 10...
Hang on, not going for a score yet. I haven't finished.
I wouldn't tell you.
Yeah, it was bang average. I mean, it's a night out of movies, but you've got to be prepared for it. If you go in expecting Gladiator, you ain't going to get it.
As well, it's one of those movies where you can't really switch off. You have to be, because there's so many kind of little integral bits.
Yeah, there's a lot of whispering.
Yeah, you have to really listen out for it.
Yeah, and...
they should shave their beards, really, shouldn't they?
Yeah, not the only one. I know. So, yeah. So, I think we'll give it a score now.
Yeah.
So,
I think what you said there is pretty much what I would have said as well. Like I said, I thought it was very hit and miss, like you said, very Marmite. Some bits were really good. Some bits were just weird and just felt very out of place.
Yeah.
Very out of place.
I think if I'm going to give it a score, I'm going to give it a 5. I think a 5 because of the beautiful scenery and the wicked way they did. I mean, I said about the acting, but the acting when they're in the groups and they're becoming the wolves and they're psyching each other up and they're howling and getting psyched. I mean, if you was in a village and that was coming over the wall, that was it, man.
Yeah, you'd be packing your bags.
Your house would be on the market. You would be out of there, you know. So, I really like that. The violence, there wasn't as much violence as I thought there was going to be, but what is there is
it's adequate.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's just adequate.
It's graphic. Yeah, 5. I think 5's a good score. It's not great, but it's not bad.
I would totally agree with you on that. I think 5 out of 10 is a very fair score.
So it's in cinemas at the moment. Okay, will depend on when you watch it. You know.
Yeah.
If there's nothing else on, then I don't know. I don't think you take.
You definitely won't take your.
I don't know.
Honestly, I can see why the audience score is a lot lower than the actual review score.
Yeah, critics will appreciate the scenery and the mysticalness.
But
audience will
regular
be like,
kind of audience.
Some audience will be like, "What on earth is going on here?"
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "What have I just walked into?"
So, Northman, 5 out of 10. Go and see it if you want to. Like and subscribe to our channel, please. I mean, we had so many views of the last one. We were so chuffed. Thank you very much, anybody that's taken the time to have a look. And please subscribe. Okay, we're trying to build a following. We'll get better as we go along. This is
hopefully.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll get rid of him. So, But we want to improve, and we want to get on, and we want to make this proper. And this is like something we've always dreamed of doing, and it's going really well. So like and subscribe, please. Comments what you thought of it. Do you think we're wrong? Do you think we're right? Okay.
We're never wrong.
Yeah. What's your opinion on Nicole Kidman?
Yeah. Hopefully a bit more positive.
Yeah. And thank you very much for your time.
Yeah. No, like
Anything else you want to say?
No, like I said, make sure you comment down below on what you think we should review next.
Yeah.
Not too sure. We'll
Okay. Well, you have to wait and see whether we do another retro one or
Exactly.
whether I've got a great retro one coming up. I've been looking up. Okay. So thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you again soon.
See you.